Hey guys, happy Thursday. It's a rainy day outside, so grab a book and read today. It's the perfect day for reading. Today we are going to first kind of go back and review what we've read in all the chapters, and we're going to focus on RL.5, which is explain how chapters, scenes, or stanzas provide the overall structure of a particular story, drama, or poem. So we know we've been reading I Survived, and this is a chapter book, so it has chapters, and the chapters help provide the structure for the whole story. So if you look at my screen here, in chapter 1, that's the very short one that we first read, where Chet sees the shark in the creek and runs off. And then chapter 2, we go back 9 days earlier, and Chet is working in the diner, and his friends Sid, Dewey, and Monty come in and talk about the shark that killed somebody in the ocean. His friends come in and shared that newspaper article, remember? Newspaper article about a shark. That should not be capitalized. In the ocean. Okay? And do they believe in the shark attacks, or do they think it's made up? They think it's made up, right? So I guess we can add that. That's important. They don't believe it's real. Okay, then chapter 3. That's when the captain tells his story. Captain Wilson tells a story about seeing a shark in the ocean. Captain Wilson. Do they believe it yet? Nope, they still don't believe it. Okay. So then chapter 4, that's the one where they're swimming in the creek, and the boys played a prank on Chet. The boys are swimming in the creek. Well, Chet doesn't know that it's a prank yet, so let's just put that they see a shark and Dewey disappears. Or they see a gray fin and Dewey disappears. Then in chapter 5, that's when he finds out that Chet finds out that the boys were playing a prank on them. Okay. And Chet didn't like it, did he? Nope. Then we have chapter 6. There's another shark attack in the ocean. And then Chet decides that he's going to get them back. Remember, he's going to prank his friends back. Goodness. In chapter 7, how does he prank his friends back? What does he pretend to be? The Greek devil. Do the boys think it's funny? Nope. They get mad at him. And that was where we left off yesterday. So Today we're going to read 8 and 9, but I want you to think about, as we keep reading, how all these chapters are connected. So we'll talk about it a little bit after we read today. Yesterday we finished, and Chet was left alone at the creek, covered in mud, because the boys did not think his prank was funny. Okay? Chapter 8. Chet scrubbed himself off in the creek and went back to Uncle Jerry's cottage. It was too hot to be inside, so he sat on the porch. He sat there a long time. He wondered what Mama and Papa were doing. He pictured Mama, with her soft smile and laughing eyes, and Papa, who always woke up with a happy face, even when they were out of money and had to pack up to start all over again. Why had they left him here? He was so deep in his gloomy thoughts that at first he didn't see Uncle Jerry hurrying up the walk. What is gloomy? It's kind of like this day outside right now, right? Sad and yucky. There you are, he said, catching his breath. He sat down next to Chet. I thought you were going to be at the diner all day, Chet said. I was, Uncle Jerry said, fishing in his pocket for his pipe. He struck his match on the floor, lit the pipe, took a few puffs, and then settled back. They didn't say anything for a few minutes. So there was some excitement at the creek, I hear, Uncle Jerry said. Chet's heart sank into his boots. Poor Dewey came running down Main Street in his drawers, Uncle Jerry continued. He was screaming about the creek devil. His mama called Dr. J. Chet sighed. He didn't look at Uncle Jerry. He'd probably already sent a telegram to Mama and Papa and was getting ready to ship Chet directly to California. Chet couldn't wait to start packing. I went too far, Chet said. I guess you did, Uncle Jerry said. Chet took a deep breath. A spider scurried across the floor and disappeared into one of the cracks. Lucky spider. There was a strange sound. Chet looked at Uncle Jerry, whose face was beet red. Was he choking on his pipe smoke? No, he was laughing. His laughter exploded through the air. He pounded his chest a few times. Sorry, he said, through his guffaws. But that look on Dewey's face? He leaned forward, slapping his leg, shaking his head. It was a good one, Uncle Jerry sputtered. Maybe a little too gruesome, but darned good. Gruesome means like bloody and violent. Chet wanted to laugh along with Uncle Jerry, but he kept thinking of that furious look on Sid's face when Chet came out of the water. Monty was right. Chet wasn't worth it. He wasn't even worth a punch in the nose. He had ruined everything. Tears ran down his face. He turned away from Uncle Jerry, but it was too late. Uncle Jerry stopped laughing and put his hand on Chet's shoulder. He waited for Chet to stop crying. What a fool he was, blubbering like this, over a stupid prank. It's all right, Uncle Jerry said. No, Chet said, standing up. I need to leave. Where are you going? Uncle Jerry said. To California, Chet said. Uncle Jerry stared at him. I don't belong here, Chet said. The heck you don't, Uncle Jerry said. You belong here, like I knew you would. Why do you think I begged your mama to let you stay with me? But I thought Mama asked you, Chet said. Are you kidding? I've been begging for years. I wrote about 100 letters, a few telegrams, too. Why? Chet said. Uncle Jerry looked at Chet like he'd asked for the answer to 2 plus 2. I thought maybe you were tired of moving around so much, Uncle Jerry said, pulling Chet back down to sit next to him on the porch step. And there's another reason. You and I are buddies, kiddo. Always were. I was lonely without you all these years. Chet almost laughed. With all the people who loved Uncle Jerry, who crowded around him every day at the diner, who laughed at his jokes and listened to his stories, how could he be lonely? Yet Uncle Jerry's eyes, usually all crinkled up and merry, were big and serious. He meant it. Did I ever tell you what happened after I hurt my leg? Uncle Jerry said. I moved to New York City. I quit this town. I just wanted to get lost. I couldn't stand the way people looked at me here, like they pitied me, or like I'd let them down by not becoming a big baseball star. Mama never told me that, Chet said. Well, it's true, but you know what? I miss this place, and I'll tell you what I learned. A person has to face up to things. You never solve anything by running away. Chet knew Uncle Jerry was right. But how could Chet stay here with the guys hating him so much? Uncle Jerry seemed to read his thoughts. You'll find a way to make it up to those friends of yours, he said. I know you will. So I think Chet is learning a lesson here. Remember we talked about how he was going to solve his problems and how he responds to those problems? That'll help us remember the theme. Well, I think maybe that's coming up. And part of what Uncle Jerry is saying might be part of the theme. You never solve anything by running away. You have to face your problems. All right, so what happened in this chapter? Chet learns that Uncle Jerry really wanted him there. He convinces, let's say Uncle Jerry, convinces Chet to face his problems. And guys, thinking about what happened in each chapter like this, that's also a way of summarizing. Just like when we read Bud Not Buddy and we did our 20-word summaries after each chapter, that's similar to this. All right, let's read one more chapter today. It's not too long. Chapter 9. The next 2 days at the diner, Chet kept waiting for the guys to come in. Every time the door opened, he looked up, hoping to see them elbowing each other to be the first to the counter. They never even walked by. Chet kept trying to work up the nerve to go and find them, and finally on Wednesday he was ready. It was another scorching day, the hottest yet. After the lunch rush was over, Uncle Jerry decided to close the diner early. All the ice in the restaurant had melted. The milk had curdled. You could just about cook a flapjack on the kitchen floor. Flapjack is a pancake. I'm going home to stick my head under the water pump, Uncle Jerry said. Then I'm going to swing in our hammock until the sun sets. Chet said goodbye to Uncle Jerry and headed for the creek, sure he'd find the guys playing ball in the water. But the swimming hole was quiet. Chet realized they were still at the factory. Their shift wouldn't be over for an hour. While he was waiting, he noticed that there were still splotches of ketchup on the dock. They looked even more like blood now, like evidence of a gruesome crime. There's that word gruesome again. He decided to try to clean them before the guys got here, to erase all reminders of his prank. He undressed and jumped into the creek. Then he splashed water up onto the dock, hopped out of the water, and scrubbed the stains with a handful of leaves. It took 3 rounds of splashing and scrubbing to clean it up. By then, Chet was so hot that he decided to take a longer swim. It was peaceful here without everyone splashing and shouting. He floated on his back under the trees, remembering how Papa had taught him to swim in the Mississippi, how Mama sat on the banks, waving and clapping. He had turned to swim back to the dock when, crash, he hit something under the water. Ooh, crash is onomatopoeia. Or something hit him. Hit him so hard in the chest he couldn't breathe. What was that? An old dock plank? A snapping turtle? Had Sid sneaked up on him and smacked him? The water around him looked funny, like it was filled with red smoke. Chet looked down in shock. His entire chest was scraped and oozing blood. What could have done that to him? A cold terror rose up inside him. He suddenly had the feeling that someone, or something, was nearby, watching him. And then he saw it. A gray fin. It glistened in the bright sun as it glided slowly toward him. He had to be seeing things. Or could this be another prank? Were the guys getting him back? But no, this was no tile. As it got closer, Chet could see the dark shape of an enormous fish, bigger than him, even bigger than Uncle Jerry. 2 black eyes peered up through the water. Chet's heart stopped. Killer eyes. Chet took off toward the shore, pounding through the water, kicking with all his might. Finally, his feet touched the bottom. He was running now, his heart hammering, a voice booming through his mind. Get out of the water! Get out of the water! Get out of the water! Almost there, just a few more steps. He dove forward, landing hard in the dirt. He rolled onto his side and stared in disbelief. It was a shark, a massive shark, dirty gray on top and pure white underneath. Its jaws snapped open and closed. The teeth, jagged and needle-sharp, were bigger than Chet's fingers, lined up in rows and curving inward. The shark thrashed as if it was trying to push itself up onto the bank. Chet wanted to get up and run, but he was frozen to the ground. Those killer eyes stared unblinkingly at Chet, and then, with the flick of its tail, the shark thrust itself backward into the water. It hovered for a second on the surface. Then, with a whoosh of its tail, it disappeared back down the creek. Ah! We finally got to the part where Chet came in contact with the shark. So, Chapter 9. Let's add our summary really quick. Chet is swimming alone in the creek, and let's say and gets bumped or scraped by a shark. He runs to the shore and makes it back. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second. Up here, when we were reading these newspaper articles, did Chet believe that there was a shark? No, he didn't believe that sharks actually attacked or came near people. Now, what did Chet just find out? Yeah, that shark's going to come near people because he almost was attacked. So, all of these chapters are connected, which is leading to, or not leading to, but that is the structure of the story. It's going to lead to our climax, the big part of the story. Okay, so tomorrow we'll read and figure out what happens. And we're still waiting to figure out if Chet can get back in his friend's good graces, see if they can become friends again too. So we'll read tomorrow. Bye.